What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the SecTech podcast. We are so glad that you chose to join us today. My name is Matt Lemke. Joined with me, as always, is Kenn Williamson. Kenn, I like this jacket. See, here's what I love so much. Let's just get right into this, Kenn. We're gonna get right into this outfit.
All right.
I feel like we're getting a more adult professional version of Kenn, but all that is the exact same Kenn with a blazer on.
That's right. That's exactly right. Well, I mean, you saw me at the 25th anniversary, and I legitimately, I had a collared shirt and a blazer, and I looked really nice. But
you went for it.
But yeah, I think, I got this new role, and I think that there's expectation that I have, some leadership aspect, and I'm in leadership at my church, and so I was just like, man, I guess it's time to grow up and stop dressing like a 20-year-old kid.
Yeah,
I'm an old man. So, but yeah, I mean, and just in general, I'm wanting to there's a subtle and slight movement towards back into a little bit more formal, a little less casual, people trying to look nice, dress up, and not always be in sweats all the time. And I'm just joining in with that and encouraging it as much as I can. And I'm not even going that far with it, right? Like this is like 80s. Steps. This is like 80s dress up, right? Like a shirt with a blazer. We're not going full 50s. Like
this is tech professional. A year from now, I'll be tech professional.
Yeah,
that's what I call it.
No, it is tech professional. But maybe a year from now, I'll be in a suit. And then after that, a 3-piece suit.
Listen, dark wizard, almost looking homeless Kenn was always my favorite.
Sure.
And, if we can go ahead and edit some pictures of Kenn, I want to remind the viewers where we started and where, and for both of us,
we're just imagine that the picture shows up in between us, like up here, right?
Yeah,
in
post.
Exactly.
Yeah, we need to get a picture. But this is we've been doing this podcast for such a long time. You kind of forget that you get ingratiated in this world of whether it's tech, whatever you do as a career, right? You get ingratiated in it. It becomes such a big part of your life, but you kind of forget that life is just it keeps going. And what's cool about this podcast for you and I as hosts is we can now go back from a year and a half and see who we were back then. So let's just talk about a couple of those differences. For me, we started this podcast. I was a full stack software engineer with the company. Now I'm a product owner, right? Doing more of the marketing side. I was 40. I went back and looked. I mean, I was 45 pounds heavier.
Ooh.
I could already see a little bit of a difference there physically, right? As I, trying to slim down. I didn't have any kids, right? Yeah. Like life was just so different. And then for you as well, man, you were, you were a software engineer. You took on a new role now. It's just cool when you can go back and be like, I'm doing the same thing today as I was back then, but we can kind of capture it in this video form of we were such different people, and it's the evolution of, personal development and self-growth that kind of keeps you moving along the trajectory with your company. You know what I mean?
Definitely. No, I completely agree. And yeah, congratulations on the weight loss. Since I see you so often, I really hadn't noticed, but I bet if I went back and looked at some of the earlier episodes, you would see a difference. And you definitely looking slimmed down. That's really amazing.
Thanks, man. You got a long way to go, but I appreciate it.
Well, it's progress.
Just keep going.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, and personal life too. I, got separated from my co-parent and been doing the single dad thing for quite a while now, and got really quite a bit more involved with the church. Basically I do ministry events 5 nights a week, or church. I'm going to church, or I'm doing a ministry event 5 nights a week. And so, yeah, it is a really cool thing to be able to look back and see. And, the new role is really amazing. It's kind of been a transition for me from, predominantly doing coding with 95% of my time, and then 5% is meetings and things like that, to now I would say it's more 50-50. but trending towards even less coding time and more mentorship, coaching. I have this title, enterprise architect, which is, kind of nebulous, not exactly clear what that is, but at SecTech, what it ends up being is, kind of a scrum master, a little bit of project manager, a little bit of, tech lead, architect, coach, and we're also trying to really fight against the fragmentation of society right now by having biweekly get-togethers with all the developers. We're almost all, well, we are all remote workers, but we all live in town, and so, or most of us anyway. And so, I should say bi-monthly, twice a month. I'm not going to get into whether or not that's the right term, but anyway, twice a month.
I had to think about it. I had to process.
We get together, we have lunch, and we cut up, and maybe we learn a few things, like present a Medium article or talk about tech or whatever. But mainly, it's just get together, have some FaceTime with people that you work with. That is not like the mandatory social hour after work, which everybody's busy with their family. No, it's like over lunch. So you get a free lunch, you come and hang out, and yeah, it's really cool. So
can we stay on that topic for a second? And you can get in this as much as you want, but just in a moment of vulnerability, I'm going to kind of interview you here just real quick on this role. I'm super happy you had this role. I've been yelling from the trees for the last 2 years that we needed you in this role. But I know Kenn from 3.5, 4 years ago, and I know Kenn now. And Kenn 3.5, 4 years ago, everything was code, everything was output. And if you couldn't code and you didn't have the output or the velocity, you can use all the terms, you are a lot more just, we're going to get to the point. Don't waste my time, right? And as a junior developer came in under you, you mentored me a lot. I grew up playing sports. I grew up with, like tough coaching, so your style didn't really bother me a whole lot. But I do think that for the world that you're in today, for the majority of developers, you have had to learn how to communicate with junior and take people along. It's that phrase, you got to grab people. If you grab someone by the heart, you always have them by the hand, right? And I think that you've gone through this transformation into this enterprise architect role largely because you made the personal decision that you were going to be a leader of people before you were going to be an outputter of programming.
Yeah.
And I think that that's really led to you growing into this role and being that person. So just take me through that process for you, because that took a lot of, I think, self-awareness. It took a lot of change for you, because it kind of seems like, for me, you've changed a lot of how you think and how you interact with people and how you bring people along. So I just want to hear more about that from your standpoint, because I think it's been an interesting, to watch that over the last 4 years.
Yeah, sure. It's a great question. I'll tell you a story. So when I realized that, I think you're exactly right about your analysis. I think that I was 3-4 years ago, just everything was black and white. It's all about getting the job done. It's all about getting the right answer. And I'm really not interested in anything that's not moving us towards that. Mm-hmm. Right. And really directly, and then about, I guess it's 3.5 years ago, I was on a project for a client, and I kind of met a similar type of person, maybe like a lesser Kenn, if you will, that who had climbed up to the top of this company and had just got his hands in everything, was always the go-to guy, and really, really smart guy, really, pretty cool guy to work with. But he was a bottleneck at the company and was basically had a stranglehold over the company, and the company was dying because of it. Like they were falling apart. They couldn't move forward because everything had to go through this guy who, you know, knew his company, his product inside and out, knew everything about it. And so I came in there and I was just talking to the leadership of that company, and I was like, listen, like, I know it's going to be painful, but we got to get him out of this position. You know, I'm not saying he needs to lead the company, but he needs to, you know, devolve some of the power that he has to other people, and really try to facilitate other people working with him. But I said it in the very matter of fact, like, this is the way it has to be sort of way. And I didn't, you know, I didn't manufacture buy-in, and ultimately, like, they didn't want to do that, and they didn't do that, and ended up selling the company before anything changed, right? And I ended up having to leave the project because I just got so frustrated seeing what the problem was, telling them exactly what they needed to do, them telling me that they were going to do what I said they needed to do, and then they just don't do it. And that's when I realized two things. I realized, one, it doesn't matter how good you are. There is a problem of scale, which is that if you want your company, your business, your career to be able to scale, you have to be able to become a multiplier. You can't, there's just not enough hours in the day. You can't be that good. Like, no one can. It's beyond human possibility to be good enough to be the kind of force multiplier that I wanted to be, to get to the level that I wanted to get to. So that was one thing. And the other thing was that you have to practice soft skills, because people will, like, if you have a reputation for being right, then people are always going to be agreeing with you. And they may even in the moment think that they're going to be doing it, but like, without manufacturing the consent from all the stakeholders, without using those soft skills and getting everybody on board, nothing happens. And so then I just I had that realization that I didn't want to be this guy that was going to end up being a bottleneck for everything. And I didn't want to be this guy that was going to be right, but couldn't get anything done because no one was going to do the right thing because of the way that I was presenting it. And so I just, you know, it took me 3 years. I really worked on it, worked on my approach, worked on my ability. Because, I mean, it's not that I didn't have empathy. It's just that I didn't really show empathy, right? Because I was just very, very focused on the technical side of things. Right. And so really, I just let myself be a little bit more personal with people and show a little bit more empathy, because ultimately I did care about all the people that I'm working with. But the thing is that people need to know that you care about them. It's not enough just to care. So maybe that was a bit of a long-winded answer.
No, but that's such a great answer. I love that, because I think you're spot on. Again, knowing you know, seeing that personal development growth. I think you're spot on. It's the difference of, I saw this the other day. I think it's so true. The difference between a bad leader and a good leader, from a managerial standpoint, is, you know, from the viewpoint of, as an employee, I made a mistake, my manager is going to fire me, or I made a mistake, I need to go talk to my manager. And I think that you went from, I made a mistake, Kenn's going to yell at me, to, I made a mistake, I need to go tell Kenn because Kenn's going to help me fix this, right? He's going to elevate me, and he's going to help me, you know, to the solution, not bring me down for the mistake, right?
Yeah.
And your transformation, your ability to do that, I think, has opened up, you know, this level where you have so much trust and buy-in from, you know, the other people around you, because it really feels like, I'm stuck, I need to go talk to Kenn. Not, I'm stuck, Kenn's gonna, you know, admonish me for it, right?
Sure.
And I think that transformation is great, and I think that that's so important. If you're a software developer, product owner, it doesn't matter. Like, you know what, and just to kind of be blunt about it, I think especially for software engineers, there's this idea that because what you do is so specialized and it's hard, and it takes a lot of intelligence, that you can just kind of be a jerk, and you really can't, right? Number one, we're in a society like, you and I have worked together. We've had some tussles because at the end of the day, for me, it's like, I'm 35 years old, man. You're going to come at me a certain way. I'll just punch you in the face. Like, not really. I'm not going to punch anybody in the face, but there's a lot more of people who are willing to stand up for themselves, right? You can't just talk to people however you want. And two, you're never like, you're gonna be that's the way. When people are like, what is bogging us down, it's like, it's the guy with the bad attitude. Nobody cares if you can code super well. If you're the guy with the bad attitude that no one can work with, guess what? Eventually it's going to be like, okay, we found the problem, right? Like that's the person we're going to get rid of. And I've come across enough software engineers now who have that type of mentality. And it's like, dude, this is not going to serve you well in the long term, to have that kind of mentality. And I think having the self-awareness to grow personally, not only removed all of that, but just took you to such a great place, man. It's just awesome to watch.
Well, thank you. Yeah, and I think you're exactly right. Not everybody can be a Steve Jobs or an Elon Musk. When you're at that level, then sure, you definitely there can be a certain amount of condescension, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But like, not there aren't that many of those people walking around. And for the rest of us normal people, we really need to be practicing empathy, practicing communication. So I think you're exactly right. And so we can switch gears and talk a little bit about SecTech and 25th anniversary. It's pretty amazing.
Years, right?
We just had a party the other day, at which I got to meet your son, which was amazing. That was really cool. And and I loved how you totally just, I don't know if you had brought this up to her before, but the look on her face was priceless when you were like, I think I might be ready for number 2.
Yeah.
And then her just like, total face drop. I was like, oh my gosh, that is the most.
I've been sneaking it in.
It was so great.
In good moments. No, it was awesome, man. It was great to have him there. We have a few coworkers about to have kids. Justine just had, another baby.
Yeah, Justine just did, and then
Daniel's got one coming.
Yep, Daniel Miller.
Yeah,
that's true.
So we got a little kid army coming through SecTech, but I mean, it was great to be able to bring him and my wife and just talking about SecTech 25 years. Real quick, we both work for SecTech. SecTech podcast was birthed out of SecTech Consulting, where where we do our jobs. I was sitting in that room over the SecTech 25th with an immense amount of gratitude. When I first got into tech, I had no idea what I was getting into. I was coming out of pastoral ministry. Tech is viewed a little bit more not so religious, right? I didn't know if my church background was going to be a hindrance to me getting a job, and then it's almost just, I would call it divine. Like, I'm looking for jobs, and all of a sudden I find SecTech with Hank Haynes, who we've had on the podcast, who founded the company and is a believer in himself, and has just really brought a level of integrity and character into the business that really brings a lot of trust from our clients and in what we do. And man, I was just humbled to be there. Just like, man, this is incredible. Like, SecTech, for the most part, it's a mid-sized consulting firm, but to do this for 25 years, to scale it to where it's been, the highs and lows, it's just amazing to be a part of it.
Definitely. I mean, I completely agree that the gratitude is exactly what I felt. And, you mentioned we did have Hank on, and he talked about how the company got started, And also his big conversion, which,
Yeah.
really had a lot to do with troubles that the company was having during the early 2000s and the .com bust and whatnot. And, he really talked about giving the business up to the Lord. And I can't imagine working anywhere else. Like, it is so amazing. And what I love so much about SecTech and SecTech having 25 years is that it shows that good Christian leadership in business can work.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like there is an idea that you have to kind of keep your faith and your business separate. And we've had a few people on that don't think that way, and that are pretty open about it, which I think are amazing. But it's just, my impression has been that in general, people think of the business world as a secular world, but SecTech being really faith first. We end up talking about faith at all of our company events. And Hank will bring up Bible verses and things like that when he's talking to the company. It's just such an amazing thing for me, because I think as a society we are coming to the limit. Like, secularism is reaching a wall where it's not working anymore. And, like, we had some political event last night that lots of people were paying attention to, that I used to be a big politics guy, but that I'm just not even paying attention to anymore, because to me it's so much more important, the spiritual side of things, and working for a company that just puts that at the center of everything that they do, and really just wants to embody good Christian values in the way that we work for our clients, and, like you said, the integrity of our leadership, but really of everybody. It's really amazing to be able to work there.
100%. Regardless of what you believe, from a religious standpoint, I think that the the practical application of doing what you say you're going to do, being honest, leading with grace, caring for others, all of that, when you bring that into a client consultant relationship, just builds trust. And that is what makes SecTech, I think, so successful. We don't have a we don't have a lot of clients that like come in and out of SecTech. Usually they come in, they stay for a long time. And the reason for that, I believe, is because we build trust so quickly, because we do what we say we're going to do. We live by integrity. We're not upcharging anybody. You're never going to see anything on a bill that doesn't belong there. We we hold a lot of integrity in our mistakes, um, and our successes, and and those are really simple things, but not every business does it, and it's a blessing to be with a company that does. So, yeah, I love, yeah, I've loved working with SecTech. I'm so happy, for Hank and the whole leadership team, Brent, Dana, everybody. Uh, just to have this kind of accomplishment. Listen, building business is hard, man. Building business is really, really hard. Keeping a
Yeah,
business alive is hard.
sure.
25 years? That's
Yeah.
consistency, man. What do you do consistently for 25 years?
Yeah, it's a good question, and actually, it's a good segue into, we're kind of running out of time, but I wanted to ask you before we went about your kind of trying to get yourself going into some entrepreneurship and business building. What's been your experience so far?
Yeah, it's been that business is hard.
Yeah.
But very rewarding. Yeah, really what I've been trying to do is follow along that line, using a lot of what I've learned at SecTech about helping people, and I've really just try to help small businesses now. Um, for a lot of small businesses, especially businesses that rely on membership subscriptions, anything like that. You got to get leads in the door, right? And then you got to nurture leads and you got to convert leads. That's the whole name of the game. So I've worked with several gyms, several personal trainers. I've worked with a med spa, and all of those are based off of you got to get in leads, you got to nurture those leads, you got to convert those leads into customers, and it's been awesome to be able to be a part of watching a business grow, watching a business that I had a business that just came to me and it's like, man, I have to double in size over the next year. I can't keep this open, and being able to plug in with a business like that and see them reap the rewards of hard work, being able to see people come through their doors and know that, a business that deserves to be in the community is staying open. I mean, that's, it's just awesome. It's awesome to be able to do. So it's been a lot of fun, but it's really, really, really hard.
I bet.
You know?
I can't imagine. I've tried to do independent consulting and like do my own small business, but the reality is that I do not have the patience for the lead generation and for the lead conversion. And, I jokingly say that, when people, I'm not good in sales because when people start putting up objections, I'm like, oh, that's a good point. Which anybody that's in sales knows that that's not the right answer. No, I just wish you all the luck. If there's anywhere, is there anywhere people can find you if they're interested in doing consulting with you and in your new business?
SeqDevelopment.com. SeqDevelopment.com. And, if you need just to get your brand out there, man, get people through the door, get people buying, that's our goal, keep helping you build. So, I appreciate that, man. It's always good catching up. I know we're going to be back in a couple weeks. Our amazing producer Justine is going to be back.
Yeah, back from maternity leave. And definitely the
She's
quality
leaving
will
us
go
out
back
here
up.
in the wild, man. We're out here. We are not supposed to be on our own.
That's
man.
right. This is
She's
what happens.
leaving the children by themselves.
Exactly.
And so no, we're excited to get her back. But yeah, we'll be back in a couple weeks with a new episode. But thank you guys all so much. And Ken, I'll see you soon.
Yep. See you later.